right, it is a feel-good Friday here, TV47 Breakfast. Kama kawaida, unajua how we do it on Friday. How hot is your coffee? My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Karibu tukuburudishe na tukuinform na
tukubambe.
Tukubambe.
Kabisa. Kwa hapa kukubamba. My name is Annie Odida. Today it's International Self-Care Day. So you're being encouraged to take care of yourself. This day came about after World War II. So yeah.
Ile PTSD ilikuwa imeleta shida sana, so you really had to take care of yourself. Hata siku hizi kuna post-traumatic stress disorder ya mambo mingi sana.
Yeah.
But on a Friday we don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, you just take care of yourself. It's International Self-Care Day. There are people who are smiling today in the corridors of justice.
Yes.
We'll be looking at that.
Yes, most of the dailies are just about the courts and decisions made in the courts. Some people not so happy, others celebrating. We'll be looking at that when we take a look at the dailies.
Absolutely.
So interact with us throughout the show. Remember, we will still have the Youth Perspective being a Friday, talking about what happened. Last week we didn't have a chance to have the Youth Perspective because it was a day after the All-Kalau by-elections. But it would be nice to hear what the youth have to say about those by-elections, the results thereof, and what they mean for Kenya's politics going forward. Yes, we'll also be talking about Edwin Sifuna. Ile homecoming iko this weekend.
Yeah.
Uko Western.
Kesho?
Kesho na Sunday. Trans Nzoia, then Bungoma County.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean? So for that, we'll be having quite a number of young people in studio. And Hans Rop, who's an MP aspirant for Mosop, Ken Babu, Youth Chair, United Alternative Government, and Jared Oye from the ODM Youth League. They'll be here in studio for the Youth Perspective. Gen Z and the by-elections. Did the ballot match the noise? Yes.
TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube.
Kuambia kile utakuwa nayo tena.
Aiwambie basi.
Naambia because it's a feel good Friday. Susumila will be in studio. Yes, Susumila, Mzee wa Itikadi, all of them will be here starting at 8:30 today. And of course, DJ Blue of 254 will have already kicked off the feel good Friday with some nice music starting at 8. So do stand by.
Absolutely.
Social media.
TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X, it's TV47 Digital. Be sure to tag us on our personal handles. My handle is at Annie_Odida.
Mine is at Freddy Ndimuli.
Is the hashtag TV47 Breakfast.
Hashtag Story Theater.
Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, it's a warm day in Nairobi today, but let's see how the weather's looking across the country this morning. And we'll start off in Kilifi. It's a mostly sunny day today in Kilifi. 24 degrees this morning, highs of 28 degrees, so it's a holiday weather there. Siaya, light rains expected today, 19 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. Nairobi, it's a mostly cloudy day, 14 degrees this morning, highs of 24. That's as far as Kilifi, Siaya, and Nairobi counties are concerned. Weather si mbaya leo. I'm going to skip baridi with 14 degrees. Kitui?
I'm feeling hot today.
You're feeling hot?
Am I the only one who's feeling hot?
Ujiongeza ile kidogo ile yenye unasemanga because I'm a hot guy.
Of course, you know. Goes without saying.
It's a mostly cloudy day in Kitui County. 16 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. Sunny day in West Pokot, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. Kajiado, light rains expected today. 14 degrees this morning, highs of 24 degrees today in Kajiado County. And that's the state of the weather.
Let's get your Friday going with some inspiration this morning. Let's take the quote of the day.
is never too late to be what you might have been.
Yes, it's never too late to be what you should have been.
What you might have been.
Might have been. But I'm already, I am already who I am.
Yeah, you're already what you wanted to be. What did you want to be when you
exactly what I am.
grew up? A journalist.
A journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. You? It's never too late.
I think a high school teacher.
It's never too late.
Yeah. TSC.
A TSC. No. I know someone at TSC.
Yeah. Sosion.
Mwalimu Sosion anaweza fanya ile kitu.
Yes.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the dailies this morning. All right, as I told earlier, most if not all of the dailies are just talking about matters before courts or matters, pronouncements by courts yesterday. And I think the most stinging headline is the one on the Standard. One word, murderers. You know, you'd say convicted for murder is better.
Yeah.
Just murderers is something else, because what if someone goes to the Court of Appeal and has their conviction reversed? Yeah, but either way, as far as everything is concerned, as at now, the court has termed them as guilty of murder.
Yeah.
So murderers on the front page of the Standard. Justice at last. 8 years of grief, 8 years of unanswered questions. Yesterday, Sharon Otieno's family finally had the words they had waited for. Justice Cecilia Githua convicted former Migori Governor Okoth Obado, his aide Michael Oyamo, and former Migori County Clerk Caspar Lobiero of murdering the 26-year-old Rongo University student and her unborn son. The court found Sharon's pregnancy sparked a calculated plot to silence her and protect political power. The verdict delivers long-awaited justice to a grieving family and sends hope in the fight against femicide. And they say the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn nonetheless. They do turn. 8 years later, a conviction is there. Probably we'll see some of the suspects lodge appeals before the Court of Appeal, but as of now, they have been convicted of murder. So Sharon Otieno was a university student who was brutally murdered in September of 2018. She had an affair with the governor Okoth Obado that led to her pregnancy. And this is a sad state of affairs. I remember 2018, where were we? Where were you 2018?
I was in another media house.
Yes. So this was part of the news on a daily basis, and it was very, very gruesome because people were even sharing photos of the body at the scene, and it was not really nice.
Yeah.
So finally, 8 years later, justice has been delivered. On the inside pages, Britain has cancelled a military training in Kenya of a permit dispute. Unajua ile inaitwa Batuk huko Nanyuki. Oh, these are the men and the men who are responsible for a certain group of children who have mixed races, mixed race children in Nanyuki.
Yeah.
Yes, wako wengi sana huko. So now, the UK government has relocated a planned military training from Laikipia after Kenya failed to approve renewal of licenses for the British Army Training Unit, Batuk. Yes. I tell you, but this is a different one. So, through the Ministry of Defence, the UK announced the activity dubbed Exercise Haraka Storm, scheduled to run in Laikipia between September and November, will instead take place in an alternative location in neighboring Tanzania. Right, so that is as far as military issues are concerned. Love tumepewa dawa. India donates medical supplies to keep Ebola at bay. But I thought we don't have Ebola.
We don't.
We don't.
Hata hiyo facility haiko.
Haiko, na tuko na madawa sasa ya keep Ebola at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hata kama hatuna hiyo nini. All right, more stories here. Gachagua reveals his political wildcard if impeachment stands, and Murkomen deflects criticism over gun violence to, guess who? IG Kanja. Na aliambiwa, ni wewe tu utakuwa blamed, kataa kufanya kazi uone. Haya, sasa imemrudia, kimemramba. IG Kanja sasa inasemekana wewe ndio responsible, because they say Antiria says he has no authority to direct the police on how to perform their duties. Yeah. And he has linked the armed men to politicians and asked security agencies to deal with them irrespective of their political stand. So IG Kanja, over to you. So those are the main stories. Sifuna's tour of Western Kenya rattles Kenya Kwanza is another story there. Alafu nasikia ile pay bill ya Sifuna has gone offline. Sasa ndani anakataza watu watume pesa kwa pay bill ya Sifuna. On the park page, we've already moved on from matters World Cup completely. We're talking about athletics. Kenya stepping up fight against doping with digital hub. That's the main story there. And Commonwealth Games, club games still produce stars. I'm looking for any story about the World Cup. Now World Cup imeisha. It's official. No more World Cup stories in the dailies. That's the standard this morning.
All right. Tuangalie Taifa Leo, same story, alimuua Sharon. Hatimaye mahakama kuu imefumbua kitendawili cha mauaji ya mwanafunzi wa chuo kikuu cha Rongo Sharon Otieno yaliyotetemesha nchi. Mahakama ilimpata na hatia aliyekuwa gavana wa Migori Okoth Obado na wasaidizi wake wawili ambao walifanya mipango ya kutekwa nyara, kubakwa na baadaye kuuawa kwa Bi Otieno ili kuzuia uhusiano wake na Obado pamoja na ujauzito wake kujulikana kwa umma. Familia ya mwanafunzi wa chuo kikuu aliyeuawa kikatili yapata haki baada ya wauaji wake kutambuliwa. You know, people remember Sharon with Obado's name. When you say Sharon Otieno, a lot of people don't quite relate to who that is. But when you say Sharon Obado, even the family, I saw the sister was calling her Sharon Obado, and people are asking, why are you calling her Sharon Obado? Because it's the name that people remember Sharon with.
She had already been known as Sharon Obado.
Right.
So it was out in the public.
As Sharon Obado, yeah. So ukiambia mtu Sharon Otieno, tashanga, well, nani, but if you say Sharon Obado, then it clicks, it rings a bell. Vidokezo zaidi, Murkomen atetea polisi kuhusu uhuni. Alisema ana imani na uongozi wa Inspector General wa polisi na kuhimiza DCI kupigana na wahalifu. Gachagua kukita kambi kwa Kindiki. Aliyekuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua sasa ameelekeza juhudi zake Mlima Kenya Mashariki. Yes, alisema unity ikuwe pale. Yeah. Hofu bia akikosekana kwa siku 45. Huyo rais huyo mzee zaidi duniani aliondoka Cameroon Juni tarehe 7 kwa ziara Ulaya na hajarudi.
But he doesn't live in Cameroon.
In Cameroon?
Paul Biya does not live in Cameroon. He lives in France and other places.
Watu wake wanamtafuta basi.
Wanamtafuta mbona? You know, remember when they were campaigning and they were even making jokes that the candidates, other candidates were being seen. For him, it was just a statue. So they're carrying a statue around, and they still voted for that statue, Paul Biya, because he was never present for the campaigns. He only came for the inauguration. And then he keeps disappearing. Now he's been away for 45 days.
45 days, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he's in France. Yeah, don't just go looking for him. He's in France.
She's alive and kicking.
You're a president in Africa, but you live in France.
Kama yule Nigeria, nasikia he doesn't live in Nigeria. Well, allegedly. Tinubu.
Where does he live?
He's in Chume mentioned France. And, yeah. Allegedly.
Interesting.
On the top strip, bei ya mahindi ya panda. Hii ni kutokana na mavuno duni msimu huu katika bonde la Ufa na masuala ya spoti pia. Beki Saliba kukaa nje muda mrefu. Taifa Leo.
All right, from Taifa Leo, let's go to the Weekend Star. It's quite a heavy paper because it has a siasa pullout. Price Kenya pays for tolerating political goonism, and thunder in the mountain, they talk about what happened in Olkalau. But the main story is still on what happened at the courts, how Obado planned and killed Sharon. That story is on pages 4 and 5, typical of the Star, to ensure that there's a spread, page 4 and 5. And what the Star has done has listed top 10 murder trials in the past 10 years. Sharon Otieno, that's the first one. Willie Kimani, Josephat Mendwa, and Joseph Moirore, who were murdered, and a policeman, were later convicted for that. Monica Kimani, ile Joey. George Mushai, who was an MP Kabete and was shot in town. Paul Mackenzie, na hiyo mambo ya Shakahola, they've listed it as part of the murder trials. Agnes Wanjiru, huyu ni mgani huyu? Oh, yule she was linked to the British soldiers in Nanyuki. Edwin Chiloba, the one who was killed in Eldoret and linked to LGBTQ persons. Kianjokoma brothers, the two brothers who were murdered by police. Masten Wanjala, Yeah. Kenya's most notorious recent serial murder investigation involving children. And Lucy Jambi is a murder involving a former Nairobi MCA and family members receiving sustained national coverage. 3 accused were convicted of murder in 2024. So those are the top 10 murder trials in the past 10 years, as listed by the Weekend Star, Sharon Otieno being the top one. Inside pages, Osotsi and Karanja face Senate ouster for anti-Ruto stance. Maswala ya seneti, na pia tuko na picha pale Rais William Ruto akifanya kazi na maseremala. Yesterday he hosted mechanics and carpenters and other people, plumbers and such, guys who do manual labor and construction at State House. He hosted a lot of them. And kuna picha hapo ndani. Back page, league breakthrough. Kenya's top flight set to overhaul after clubs federation strike deal. That's a FKF Matters Football. And WAFCON, ile Harambee Starlets wanaenda. So they're doing a feature here on defender Shilwatso. And it's interesting, Euphrasia Shilwatso. That's a defender for the Harambee Starlets. And that's the Star, fresh, the Weekend Star, fresh, independent, different. Grab yourself a copy of this paper at 60 bob.
All right. Daily Nation, cold-blooded killers. The convicts face long prison sentences. All here on the front page. Michael Oyamo, Kaspal Obiero, and Obado, Okoth Obado. That on the night of September 3rd, 2018, Sharon Otieno, a pregnant university student, was abducted, raped, and murdered in a forest in Homa Bay. Her body alongside the 28-week-old fetus was found the following day, yesterday, after a 7-year high-profile trial. Her lover, former Migori Governor Okoth Obado, lazima wafinye. Her lover, former Migori Governor Okoth Obado, his former aide Michael Oyamo, and an ex-county employee Kaspal Obiero were found guilty of killing the 26-year-old mother of 3. Oh, she had other kids?
Yes. She had 2 other children.
That is a story that has been captured on page 4, 5, and 6 of the Daily Nation. They call it cold-blooded killers. Obado, 2 others guilty of Sharon's murder. Court finds that Sharon's pregnancy provided the motive and rejected Obado's claim that he had accepted it. Journey from grace to power to disgrace. That's another story on page 5. Other quick headlines on the front page. Change to deal that derailed British soldiers training in Kenya. It's a story on page 8, speaking about that Batuk story, the one that Fred had talked about. This paper also continues with Kiama's autobiography. They've captured it on page 2 and 3 today. They say, midnight WhatsApp shock on my sacking, Uhuru's hand, and return to VC's office. Resilience and fight back, they call it, that Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha informed the new University of Nairobi Vice Chancellor that the dismissal directive were coming from President Uhuru Kenyatta. Right, so that happened in 2020 as well. Mandago off the hook in 1.1 billion shillings Finland scam. Senator Jackson Mandago, he has been acquitted of conspiracy to misappropriate 1.1 billion shillings meant for the US in Gishu County scholarship program. The court ruled the prosecution had failed to prove the case against the former governor. Yeah, so evidence haikutosha. Hii ni ile kitu ilitetemesha Uasin Gishu, watu wakisema, oh, Kenya ni yetu. We want the way parents had sacrificed a lot, you know, to just give their kids some scholarship. Lakini sahi hakuna evidence to.
So many years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they say, anyway, they say that the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they turn nonetheless. They turn. You see, many people may feel that this is the end.
Yeah.
No. The wheels of justice continue turning.
All right, tuangalie what they say. From Lexus to prison van. Obado and AIDS lose bond. Yeah, from Lexus to prison van. On the back page, ageless powerlifter Njuguna sets sight on gold in Glasgow. Commonwealth Games, her ultimate goal is to participate in the 2028 Los Angeles Games. Right, that is Kenya's Joyce Wambui Njuguna. And that's the Daily Nation.
Right, from the Daily Nation, let's take a look at the People Daily, and they continue doing analysis of the top presidential candidates and what has happened to them as we continue going towards 2027. Friends to foes. Yesterday's trusted allies are today's bitter rivals as political interests reshape Kenya's road to 2027. So they just talk about people who are friends and later turned foes. One of them is President William Ruto, who are very good friends with Rigathi Gachagua, then they turned foes. His AG was Justin Muturi, now they don't see eye to eye. Rigathi Gachagua himself was a very close ally of Eric Wamombi, the MP for Madeira. He was his home MP. And Betty Maina, who are husband and wife. And he actually he participated in their traditional wedding. Now they don't see eye to eye. Moses Metangula was very good friends with Majimbo Kalasinga, now they are not. Edwin Sifuna was very good friends with Oburu Oginga, they are not. Susanna Kihika was very good friends with Senator Tabitha Karanja, now they are not. And you can see even more of them there. Gladys Wanga and Emilio Odhiambo. Yeah? Kimani Ichung'wah and Ndindi Nyoro. Wycliffe Oparanya and Fernandes Barasa. Cleophas Malala and Boni Khalwale. Yes. So you can read more on that on page 4. Another story on the People Daily. A nation of youth, a parliament of veterans. Vijana wamejaa Kenya, lakini bunge ni la wazee. People Daily.
William and Gladys Wanga don't see eye to eye.
Well, according to the People Daily.
Business Daily now. Uber and Bolt drivers to get powers for setting fares. Yeah. So, this is a new bill that cuts firms' control of prices and CAK to regulate ride-hailing platforms. They say that drivers on ride-hailing platforms such as Uber and Bolt could get a reprieve on how fares and commissions are set under proposed new competition rules aimed at curbing the abuse of market power. The government has proposed new legislation to crack down on online platforms that exploit businesses that depend on them by unilaterally slashing prices, imposing unfair commercial terms, or using their influence to dictate trading conditions. So the proposals contained in the Competitions Bill 2026 are expected to place ride-hailing companies under greater regulatory scrutiny following years of disputes with Kenyan drivers. Yeah. Watu wa drivers wa Uber na Bolt wanasema nyinyi mnawanyanyasa sana, mnaingia kwa gari zao, you're comfortably using your laptop and phones, and then ukifika unapata umepatiwa 30% discount. Yeah. You're giving them 240 shillings. Place inafaa kwa 350 Kenyan shillings without tipping them.
But you know, something about that is that discount is supposed to be for the benefit of the driver.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to get it back.
Yeah.
But the problem is that most of these drivers do not remit the money to Uber, whatever they collect. So they owe those taxi hailing apps money.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want discounts, because they know they've not even paid the taxi hailing companies. Yeah. So shida iko pale. Ukisikiza wote wako na justification.
What are really? You know, the last time I interviewed Uber and Bolt, the drivers, and they were of the opinion that easy vitu zinafaa zitoke Kenya. Uber and Bolt.
So that they start their own.
Because they're already Kenya hailing.
Yes, and they charge
ride-hailing platforms.
They charge 1,000 bob minimum for any distance.
Hizo ndio wanataka.
Tutarudi kwa matatu.
Walisema hiyo ni luxury kama uwezi wewe upande matatu huko. Yes, the Business Daily also makes mention of former Migori Governor Obado murder case. On the ticker, BAT half-year profit up by 3% and maintains dividend payout at 10% per share. And Treasury cuts domestic borrowing by 132 billion shillings, and that's the Business Daily. All
right. We crossed now the border and into Uganda, and do have the New Vision today. Main story on the front page, new license fees for lecturers. Policy takes effect immediately. Lecturers, tutors speak out. So for you to be a lecturer or a tutor, you have to be licensed. And now there are new fees for those licenses. That happens in Uganda. NRM dominates women council polls. Kuna watu wampanga laini wanapiga kura pale. That's a New Vision. That's the main story in Uganda. Tukiingia Tanzania, the Citizen. Tanzania joins global push to protect children online. Tanzania is moving closer to introducing special SIM cards for children. And I think we talked about this some time back. As part of a growing global effort to protect minors from online abuse, harmful content, and other digital risks. But there's a story that they keep going back to, and that's how on Benjamin Mkapa, former president, the late Benjamin Mkapa, how decade of reforms under Mkapa changed Tanzania's economic path. Remember, they're marking 10 years since the death of Benjamin Mkapa. Na habari hiyo ndio imeipewa kipaumbele kwenye karatasi ama gazeti, ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Mwananchi. Mkapa aliongoza taifa bila pressure. Hiyo ni sehemu ya kumbukizi ya miaka 6, miaka 6 sio 10, baada ya kifo chake, akumbukwa kwa udhubutu, mageuzi ya uchumi na uwajibikaji. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 18 na 19. Tundu Lissu pia, ile kesi ya Tundu Lissu bado iko pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Hoja faragha ya mawakili maabusu ya tikisa, na ametumia picha ya Tundu Lissu ambaye ako na nywele zinaitwaje?
Ulikuwa unataka kusema misuli tingine.
Si misuli tingine.
Dreadlocks.
Nywele zile zinaitwa dreadlocks. Wacha tatafuta Waswahili watuelezee. All right, so those are the regional and local dailies and what they're talking about in each of the 3 countries. Let's come back and take a look at the cartoons. And most of the cartoons have one theme: what happened, no, at least 2 of them, what happened in court yesterday. But I start off with a cartoon on the Daily Nation, and it is matters higher education and the funding. And this follows pronouncements by President William Ruto that every person who gets admitted to university will get full funding. So there's confusion. So higher education has been portrayed here as a train. Inaenda kwa reli, lakini reli imekatika, inaenda njia panda, hawajui which direction they are going. President amesema full funding. Watu wake wanasema hakusema fully funded. So what exactly is it? I've seen in the dailies one of the, I think it's the education minister, trying to explain, but you can tell even him is lost for words when it comes to that. That's a Daily Nation.
All right, the one on the Standard, yes, talks about the Obado murder case. Sharon Otieno has finally gotten justice. 1992 to 2018.
She was so young.
She was just 26.
So young. Anyway. Similar theme on the cartoon on the Star. It portrays Sharon as a lady justice. You know, justice is always portrayed as a lady. Because it's, and this comes from Greek mythology. Carrying the weighing scale on one side and a sword on the other. Like in this one has been branded Sharon. And then Okoth Obado there just looking straight. Kesi shakatwa. And he has been convicted of murder. That's a Star.
All right. Finally, Stano's take today. He used to put mitegos everywhere to trap politicians. That is the one we have, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Nowadays, he traps tourists and investors. This is a Safari Explorer. This is a caricature of Rigathi Gachagua hapo, amekuwa caricature ni kama ameweka mitego, akisema stop. Alisema investors should not be coming into the country.
And even tourists.
And tourists, yeah. Sasa ameweka mitego hapo.
Ameweka mitego yake ya mguu. Tuwasikuje hapa.
Yes.
The wildlife sasa. All right. So those are the local and regional dailies, including the cartoons. Let's now take a quick look at the traffic situation in Nairobi this morning. It's definitely a Friday because I'm looking at Thika Road all the way from Ruiru. There's no traffic even at Githurai. The only part I can see there's traffic is at the Mathare Hospital as you go up to the Pangani interchange. Just that. Kiambu Road is looking green, the entire stretch. At Apale DCI, it's yet to start building up. Eastern Bypass, even the places we complain about, okay, fine, a bit of traffic at Utawala. But after that, it's smooth. At least it's moving. It's a long stretch of yellow, meaning there's traffic, yes, but it's definitely moving. Outer Ring Road, a bit of traffic Pale Tasia as matatus carry passengers. And on Jogoo Road, the usual, Makadara. Okay, and then there's a bit of traffic at Shauri Moi as you head towards the City Stadium roundabout. After that, it's smooth all the way into town. Haile Selassie Avenue, a bit of traffic building up between Railways roundabout and the Landis Road roundabout, but it's nothing to worry about. A bit of traffic, Pale Museum Hill. Naona leo, I think many people trying to get down from the expressway into into Wayaki Way. So there's traffic there next to Museum. But from the airport, it's looking green all the way. Just a bit of traffic at Imara Daima as people try to get onto the expressway. Other than that, not much to report about. Wayaki Way is looking good, getting into town. Now the western side of the city is green so far. A bit of traffic at Prestige Plaza, Kwa Junction, but other than that, typical Friday traffic. So if you haven't left home, please leave now. Leave now, you might get to work by 7. Once again, a reminder that after the break, we're having the youth perspective. Gen Z and the by-elections. Did the ballot match the noise? So we'll be discussing the All-Kalau by-elections with Hans Rop, who's an MP aspirant for Mosop. Ken Babu, who chairs the United Alternative Government Youth Caucus, is also an aspirant for Senator, Nairobi. And also Jared Oye from the ODM Youth League. They'll be here. Take a look at the aftermath of the All-Kalau by-elections and what it means for Kenya's politics going forward. After that, we'll be having DJ Bluey 254.
Right. Na Susumila, and of course Mzee wa Itikadi for some great hits and great music.
Sutumie mmoja Susumila.
Nimesahau.
That is where you draw the line.
You want to put me on the spot, sindio? Unajua walisema sisi wa Arsenal hatuna sauti.
Ya kuimba. But we can sing the Arsenal anthem very well.
Na ni gallery walituambia. Producer ndiye alisema hatujui kuimba.
We're out of time. It's exactly 31 minutes past 6. Time for us to take a break. We'll be back with more. Remember, you can continue interacting with us on social media, on X TV47 Digital, on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. It is TV47 Kenya.
You can tag us on our personal handles. My handle is at Annie_Udida. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast.
My handle is at Fred Indemul. You can also use the hashtag StoryGate.
See you after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimeekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni live.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learn the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
TV47.
All right, good morning once again and welcome to TV47 Breakfast. Being a Friday, it is a feel-good Friday. It is also the youth perspective. The main discussion today on this show will be about the by-elections and what happened there. But we cannot ignore what happened and what we have on the front pages today. It's that pronouncements, the judgment in the Sharon Otieno murder trial. All three suspects, including former Migori County Governor Zachary Okoth Obado, convicted of murder. And being the youth perspective, this murder involved a very young Kenyan, 26-year-old, mother of 3, a university student. And now that we have young Kenyans in studio, I'll just like them to comment briefly on this long wait for justice that has finally been delivered. In studio with me, I have Jared Oye from the ODM Youth League and Ken Babu, who's a youth chair, United Alternative Government, as also an aspirant for the Nairobi Senate seat. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
We do anticipate that one more person will be joining us as we continue, even before we get to the politics and the Olkalau by-elections. I'd like you to make a comment about what has happened. It is on all the front pages. We cannot ignore it. Jared.
Yes, thank you very much to our viewers. Good morning. The judgment yesterday to some of us is a milestone and gives us more confidence in our judicial service and in the corridors of justice. It has been 8 years of turmoil to the family of Sharon Otieno and the unborn child whose life was terminated prematurely. Again, this shows and gives us, we the Wananchi, confidence that in spite of the positions that our leaders may be holding today, the wheels of justice will catch up with them at long last. And this also a signal to those who are in office today that in spite of the power that the position that they are holding, the wheels may be rolling slowly, but they'll never forget. I think the Sharon case was a case that had a widespread conversation across the nation, and at long last, we applaud the lawyers, the prosecutors, and even the judge who delivered the judgment. justice as they put it, justice delayed may sometimes appear denied. And I think at some point we have a feeling that it do take too much longer time for the justice to be delivered. This, I think, ought to have been taken, ought to have taken maybe few years instead of the 8.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ken Babu, because this trial involved, it was a matter of a very young person, 26-year-old, a university student who held so much hope for her family. She had a bright future even ahead of her, and held a lot of hope and determination, even for her young children, and just to have her life cut short. Justice for the family, finally? What's your feeling?
First, let me say that it was unfortunate for her to die in such a manner, and listening to stories and theories around all that happenings, people are coming with different information. But on that judgment, different institutions were being put to test. That was the judiciary and the state. The state in the sense that we understand that the former governor, Okoth Obado, is a man powerful in the political structure, and is a man with the influence, and of course could call shots within the state operations and all that. But again, the judiciary was put to test, and to actually stand on its feet and confirm that actually at the end of the day, every Kenyan can get justice, if indeed whatever has been provided by this prosecutor was true. But I want to just say that looking at what happened in the Sharon case spanning for over 8 years, it is not an isolated case. We've had different cases similar to that, some of which did not manage to get justice. Right now we have an ongoing case on Albert Ojwang, which is not far away differently from this one. I just want to say that judiciary has a responsibility to operate independently, as they are trying to prove to, so that each and every Kenyan, whether young or old, whose life has been cut short unconstitutionally, illegally, by very few men and women who imagine that they can just go away with it, all that should be brought to account, and everybody must take responsibility.
All right. Yeah. Still from the courts, there's another case here that involves young Kenyans as well. On the front page of this paper, they talk about Mandago, the former governor of Uasin Gishu. He's now off the hook in the 1.1 billion shilling Finland scam. And this was about taking young Kenyans to Finland for a study. That story is on page 12. This also involves young Kenyans who had hopes of actually pursuing their education and other ambitions in Finland. Now, Mandago let off the hook. They say he was yesterday acquitted in the case relating to the Finland Education Scholarship Program. Yeah. The charges were related to conspiracy to commit a felony and abuse of office in the establishment and running of the Uasin Gishu Overseas Education Scholarship Program. The court noted that the prosecution, despite producing 138 witnesses, had failed to prove any of the charges against Mr. Mandago and his co-accused. Yet, young people and their family lost their money. And then the ODPP's office, or the prosecutor, despite bringing 138 witnesses, they're saying they're unable to prove the case.
Fred, Mandago's position, I think for me it is malicious and scandalous. Someone need to appeal that case, and these young people, these young students, they need to get the justice. I think for us, this is an economic robbery. This is an economic terrorism. I'm pretty sure the parents from Uasin Gishu, some of them sold land, some of them sold their livestock for them to be able to get the amount that was required for the Finland scholarship. I don't know, maybe at some point, Mandago maybe was looking for, because at that point he was a governor. Today he's a senator. And these are some of the tough questions. Maybe today he may be a man of influence because of the position he's holding today, being that he's a senator of Uasin Gishu. But where we are sitting, I'm pretty sure a Kenyan of goodwill will be able to petition such judgment. I think it's not completely off the hook. No, today we are having a properly conscious nation. And the generation that we are having, we understand how our not only constitution operates, but even some of our institutions. I'm pretty sure. an individual who is consciously upright will petition Mandago's case. And I think on top, as my brother Sintakin Babu was putting it, in the same case of Ojwang, it also give us a plight that our institutions, when given a chance to operate independently, they are power. And as much that maybe at some point we feel that some of these cases do prolong to a point that we may question our judicial service, not just service but judiciary. The IPOA and other institutions, like now in the case of Mwalimu Albert Ojwang, we expect them to fast track and to stand on their ground. The new unveiling from the CCTV and other evidence being presented in the court, this gives us more confidence in these cases. And again, it also gives us more confidence that these institutions can operate independently from the influence from either the executive arm of government or the legislature.
Okay.
So for us, very important. Mandago today is one of the outstanding, I'll say one of senior leaders maybe in the Senate. And we expect that the Senate of Kenya need to let the Mandago case be scrutinized again. Besides maybe someone petitioning it, they need to let other agencies to get into this case. And if possible, even the Ministry of Education need to be persons of interest in this case, because young Kenyans who are to pursue further education have been robbed off. So it's not only maybe the institutions of our justice, but even the education ministry.
Right. And maybe they'll find some wrongdoing on some other people. But either way, this is obvious criminality. Families lost 1.1 billion shillings with the hope that they were going to get education in Finland and pursue other interests there. But it would appear that even in this whole structure of our judiciary, there's someone who's failing somewhere. Who do you feel could be failing here? 138 witnesses presented by the prosecutors, and there's no case to answer. Don't you think that someone somewhere is not doing their job correctly? Ken?
Allow me to say that the Mandago case is very unfortunate. And that's why I agree with the Kirinyaga Senator, Kamau Murango, who has been on the record saying that, and he did actually, I think, a memo or a petition, that an executive holder in the leadership realm of a governor should not leave an office after serving two terms and become a senator to oversight the same county with which they were exercising their executive powers. And I agree with Kamau Murango on that one. Because what is happening right now with Mandago is an infringement of the space of oversight. Because you cannot say, because this was a county operation, this was a county program, a county project, then does it make sense that the same governor who exercised executive powers during that time is now sitting in the Senate to oversight the same books and accounts with which he was overseeing? So what I want to say is this: 1.1 billion is not a small money. If that money was to be invested even in the education sector within Uasin Gishu today, I think they would be having some executive system of education or schools over there. So there is a problem somewhere within the judiciary structures when it comes to this matter. And I want to say that what Mandago did is an economic terrorism and robbery and conmanship of the highest order. He conned families who believed and bestowed their trust on him as the leader at that time, with which powers were given to give directions to the community and the people he leads. That is why those parents were not questioning the legitimacy or legality of that process, because they believed in this fellow. But on the other hand, for him, he saw an opportunity to rob the same people who trusted on him. So I think, like he said, this thing must be appealed, and Mandago will face his music and he will dance it. It might appear like he's getting off the hook, but I can assure you, so long as he's still alive, he will face his music and he will dance it. Finally on that, I want just to, we have to be practical and honest. There is no way 138 witnesses cannot be saying the truth. If you are talking about 2-3 people, we can say they were manipulated. 138 people coming on the mess and saying that this guy conned us and they have material evidence of their transactions, how this money was moved from one point to another. Mandago must have interfered with this process. And that's where the Senate must also come in. And I can assure you, and I want to tell Kenyans, and the parents and families that were affected, that so long as Mandago is still alive, he will face his music and will dance it.
It's interesting that this comes the same week where lawyers were boycotting judges for one or two things. And it would appear that there's a general feeling that the courts, the entire judicial system appears to have a problem somewhere. For the lawyers to come out, claim allegations of corruption, mistreatment of lawyers, issues to do with delayed or interference with cases, those are the things that we are talking about now.
Yeah.
There's a reason why lawyers decided, okay, fine, this number of judges have to be boycotted. Is it a time now that we need to take a look at the judiciary, that there's a big problem and we can now see it?
I think for the longest time, and I think at some point in this show we have said that judiciary is one of the weakest link in our governance system. And in most cases, we have heard, we have seen, we have read, both on paper and even on these newspapers, that some of our judges and magistrates are very corrupt. And I think when lawyers and senior counsels, I remember all this, they were all eight former LSK presidents, were joined all the magistrates and all the lawyers and advocates in this protest. For us, it's a show of our judiciary at some point have been off the hook from delivering the justices that we expect from them. And a good example of, maybe if you use the case of maybe now Sharon, why would such a case take such a longer time? There's a question that I think Muguna was asking on X, that why will the lawyers, not lawyers, but judges and advocates take a summer holiday? Well, Kenya, you don't have summer. So these are some of the tough questions that we have been asking ourselves. At some point, we have also seen lawyers, some of them getting murdered, maybe on back kicks unnecessarily. So our judicial system, to be very specific, our lawyers, a number of them maybe may not have evidence, but no, now being that judges are the people they operate with every day, the advocates and the lawyers, they know that the lawyers do need or require or subject them to other pays unnecessarily off from maybe the client pay that is required. So it's the weakest link in most cases in our governance system.
And I remember some time back, Ken, that we had to have radical surgery of the judiciary to get rid of some of the elements that had ailed the same way from back in the day, and probably even before introducing the new constitution. Do you think that we are there yet again, where we need further radical surgery of this institution?
Well, I think there's an urgent need of such. You see, when you look at how things happen, and maybe very few cases like that of Sharon and maybe others that make it to a success. But I will agree with the people who believe that the judiciary still has something to do. And I will agree with people who believe that our judiciary is to some way compromised. And I will agree with the people who have the perception that the judiciary to some extent gets orders from somewhere. Because you look at cases like case study of Mandago. Explain to any Kenyan. Just explain to any Kenyan how possible was it that, you see, financial transactions that we're talking about here, there were evidence. Some people sold their lands and there's evidence that they sold their land. These finances, some of them were channeled through electronic transmission. But 138 witnesses come on board, and then the judiciary tells us that there were no sufficient evidence from the prosecutor side to have Mandago charged with this issue. So then I think it's a two-way way of looking at things, and I think judiciary needs to be introspected and of course looked into thoroughly, because if you are going to proceed the way we are, then we are going to be in a state where the highest bidder have their way, and that is where we were before, and we are trying to get away from it, because the judiciary is the place where if you get to, you should get justice. Because that is the last line of defense of anybody who feels violated. So if the judiciary is not going to do what it should do, then I think it's an urgent matter that very soon will go beyond lawyers. Because Kenyans themselves will now step up. Like in this case of Mandago, I can assure you that it will just take time. It's a matter of time, but Kenyans will storm the judiciary to demand on what they deserve.
Whether by default or design, the focus this week is on the judiciary. It is not our making. Lawyers were boycotting judges. One of the biggest murder cases has just been, judgment has been made on it. Another case here, a big one also, judgment has been made on it. And most people are not happy with that.
And by the way, Fred, you see, I agree with you when you said that the focus on judiciary. You see, look at the case study of Rigathi Gachagwa's case. When the judge says that the process was foul, the process was not, as clear as it should be. But then the judge goes ahead to uphold the impeachment. The moment the judge pronounced himself, that the process was foul, that is the point at which that impeachment becomes null and void.
All right.
So it's a question and it's a concern that Kenyans are still asking. Where are we when it comes to justice and judiciary process? Because there's no way I can say that Jared Oyie was at TV47 and the camera disappeared, and then I say Jared is not part of the people who should be suspected as having stolen that camera. Well, I agree that he was there. So there's a total confusion here, and judiciary must come out and make it.
And I know we can use very many examples.
So,
I know.
Fred,
I'm just talking about presently.
Yeah, I don't want to defend that though. Although a bad example, I think in the same breath as Senator Ken is putting it. At some point, I think back from 2013, we have been seeing in most cases we have had judiciary maybe at some point barring some of unnecessary implementations, both of government agenda or maybe the opposition, which at some point we were feeling that maybe it was an appendage of executive. We remember the case of BBI at some point. Some of us were feeling that was one of the best documents for our country. And then judiciary comes in and say, no, that thing is null and void. We can't implement it. So these are some of the cases. Although the one is saying for the Ken Babu, the one for Rigathi Gachagua impeachment, I think that's very political. We can't say entirely that judiciary maybe could have said it's null and void as Ken is trying to put it forward. I think in most cases, maybe for that, it was maybe just one article that was making it a null and void case.
Okay. And the examples,
it's good he's mentioned political.
I don't want to
let me just say this, I'm not going to that. I just want to highlight the aspect of political interference, which is very, very true. Yeah. And I can tell you, Fred, walk into these law courts and you will see political interference one-on-one on different issues and different cases.
One more case that is still currently under serious scrutiny is a murder of Albert Ojwang. Yes. And given what we've seen today with the murder of Sharon Otieno, what they've done with this case with Jackson Mandago and so many other things, that the lawyers out there boycotting and saying judges are corrupt, all these things, definitely the focus is on the judiciary for some reason, whether by default or by design. Yeah, we just take a look at the papers and we see all these things playing out. So something needs to be done. All right. Let's take a short break. When TV47 returns, now we focus on the All-Kalau by-elections and the aftermath that we've all witnessed.
I'm cooking pancakes.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business. Na leo mkorada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Nipatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Chief. Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya
All right, welcome back. This is TV47 Breakfast with me, Fred Indimuli, and my panelists are making noise here. Allow me to introduce the newest panelist who has come with a lot of the discussions right now. Is Hans Rope, MP aspirant Mosop, and also a political analyst. Hans, I know you missed out on that discussion about the judiciary and what's happening there. So I'll give you just about 2 minutes. Tell me, what is your general feeling about the state of our judiciary? We've seen what the courts have, the lawyers have said. We've seen the court cases that have been determined this week. Mixed feelings about that, and even some of the cases that are already before the courts that we continue to observe. What's your general feeling? Is it time for another radical surgery of the judiciary?
Good morning to our viewers, and just want to give my feedback on that. Is that we live in a world that is very unfair today. You know, when you write 6, Fred, the other person from the other end sees it as 9. So if a case goes in your favor, you celebrate. If it doesn't go in your favor, you fight. And you remember, I saw even a post by Danson Omari that when it favors the lawyers, they are happy. But if it doesn't favors them, the judiciary is on the wrong hand. Today, we still, I feel that we are not yet there, but there is some growth in how the judiciary is trying to handle its cases. You know, with the kind of influences maybe we thought the DIG could have over the case of Albert Ochoa, we are now seeing some new turn of events coming in, almost a year or two after. And it can tell you that despite the fucking position you have in this country, if you are guilty, you'll be caught up. You see Obado case with Sharon, 8 years after he's being convicted. We saw the other KDF guy who went into prison after several years. So somehow, despite the fact we are not really there, and we know that there are still some kind of issues that are going on in judiciary, that we really hide them to straighten them and tie them up, we feel that there is some progress. There is some progress. As a country, as much as you might not have all of it, it's good to appreciate that there is a process that is coming in. And also, if you see whatever happened, even for the Wasingishu Senator, Mandago, when I really followed it, and I studied, I heard some of my friends saying that the 1.1 billion shillings was sold, and so was lost, and there are students who sold lands. And that is true. But the money in question is 1.1 billion that had sponsored over 450 students to go to Finland. And it is not that 1.1 billion got lost. Some of money, maybe around 30 students, had a miscommunication about it. What happened? There was Wasingishu County government then had students who needed to do exams and graduate in Finland.
but they are not cleared their fees because students, teachers were, parents to these students were allowed to pay in stages. So, and there were students who had deposited their money ready to travel to Finland. So in good thought, the county itself said, let's use this money that we have to clear the school fees of the other students. By the time their teachers clear their fees, we replace with these ones. Then some of the parents chose not to pay, and that's why the gap came in. And now that there's always politics that can play around anywhere, demonstrations and so on were organized. When they went to court, 138 witnesses were brought in, and all the kind of evidences they brought didn't let Mandako to have a case to answer, because you realize some of the cases that were there, some of the students traveled after Mandako had become a senator and we had a new governor. So, and you'll notice that the new governor didn't come to the court because he's one of the witnesses who was supposed to come and witness. So he escaped some of the cases. So with the case of Mandago, myself, if you add what even the lawyer said that we have launched a legal action against the parents who took advantage of the situation and they need to pay back the money. They said as much as Mandago has not been convicted, what we are going to do going ahead is that we are going to follow to make sure that the other students get their money back. Okay. And we hope that goes that and everybody gets what they deserve for every satisfaction. And for that, when there's anything good that maybe this, we must accept that if I am a politician today and I have a case, I could be innocent. So when someone is innocent, we accept. You get it? And that's why I accepted my friend here, Babu. If Ricky G was not rightly impeached, yeah, you cannot accept on this other end that you want to blame on this other end. Where facts are facts. If you do not have real facts about it, let's just let it. But as it is today, I feel judiciary has taken just a step better going forward. Yeah.
Justice delayed is justice denied, and they say the wheels of justice turn very slowly, but they turn nonetheless. Focus on judiciary, big cases being determined. Some of them still continue, especially the murder trial of Albert Ojwang, and we'll continue with that focus there. So, gentlemen, last week we did not have an opportunity to have the youth perspective on Friday. It was just a day after the by-elections in Olkalau, so we were just looking at the win and the direct aftermath of that because the results were announced that Friday morning. But today we get an opportunity for young politicians to discuss what happened in Olkalau. Many feel that this was a first, especially for William Ruto. The fact that it has been said up until now that he has never lost an election. And this time round, the DCP, in the next 1 week or so, will have their very first member of parliament from that by-election. Quite a number of discussions. What happens next? Does it mean that this will be replicated across the country? Does it give Rigathi Gachagua a better standing, even in the United Alternative Government? What does it mean for UDA and Kenya Kwanza? Jared,
yes.
What is your first reaction to what we saw in Olkalau, especially in the manner and the expression they had that we are going to get the vote and how they went about it?
Thank you very much, Fred. The Olkalau by-election has become very special, more so to the sky green or the green party, yakina Senator Ken Babu. This is their first elected leader, MP. Though they have, I think they have other two MCAs. Four. Okay, I know two. I know two MCAs and now there's one MP. And what makes it special, I don't know why they celebrate. It's like maybe UDA celebrating a win in Uasin Gishu or a win in Eldoret. First, the question comes in. First, this was a Jubilee. It was a Jubilee MP who died, and even in previous election, 2022, UDA lost that in Olkalau. Again, we were expecting maybe that the DCP, UDA, PRM, and DP, Wiper, and these other political parties, they were going to have a joint candidate. But in Olkalau, we saw all of them, I think, field candidates from DP. They were around 18.
Seven candidates.
Seven candidates.
There were 9 candidates.
There were 9 candidates. And I think from the 9, 8 were from the United Opposition. And we all remember Rigathi Gachagua warning his colleagues in the united opposition not to step foot in Olkalau. First, he wanted to take credit with the Olkalau by-election. 2, he wanted to fence it off, all need to appear like this DCP zone. 3, Rigathi Gachagua, leader, is very selfish for himself, not only his party. And again, this also gives us a chance to analyze what is uniting them. From Olkalau by-election, we also seeing that there's nothing common uniting these people, as they call themselves, United or Alternative Government, to come in. You must also remember, in the Olkalau election, we have had 10 by-elections. That is for the Senate and National Assemblies. From these 10, apart from coming from ODM, we had won 3 seats. UDA, I think, won 6. I don't know why the Olkalau becomes very special, that they have been celebrating all over. To the other day, I think we saw them, the Walitwanga Masuti, the green ones. Some people call them the Grashopa guys. So it was. I don't know why they're hyping it too much.
So Jared, your biggest problem is that they celebrated the win.
Not they celebrating the win, but at some point we may not equate this Olkalau by-election to 2027 election as they're trying to put it.
What about
this
margin?
litmus paper for 2027?
What about the margin that we saw, the margin of the win there? In all the other by-elections that you've talked about, we've not seen that level of margin. 86% going to one party.
Fred, 2022, UDA that came second lost that seat to Jubilee.
What was the margin?
I can't remember the margin.
Yes.
Jubilee got 100. I think the Jubilee candidate got 100 votes in Olkalau.
198.
190 votes in Olkalau, which was very, 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 very minimal. We were not expecting such from a party that was holding that position. The win in Olkalau and the celebration in Olkalau, to some of us, is unnecessary, overhyped unnecessarily. What's the hype over Olkalau? If truly DCP believe that they have fenced Mount Kenya, as I was giving a good example of maybe UDA winning a seat in Eldoret that may be perceived to be a yellow zone, why do you celebrate such in such magnitude?
Okay.
ODM winning in Mombasa, it wouldn't come as a surprise. So if DCP won in Olkalau, in Mount Kenya, that they have been saying for the longest time that today is a DCP zone, then what's the celebration that hype that much?
Ken Babu, the question that he is asking is why was Olkalau special? Why is it special?
I think let me be factual and just table honest truth. However, how painful it might be to my colleague panelists, the truth remains the truth, that from the Olkalau by-election, the litmus paper, as far as a ballot is concerned, the litmus paper has actually turned green. And that is the feeling. Let me start by the issue of, he mentioned that there have been many by-elections. And I want to say that my party, the DCP party, has only fielded in 2 parliamentary by-elections, just 2. That is Emuru Adikir and now Olkalau. And Emuru Adikir, we fielded a young man 1 month to elections, and he was able to get 12,000 votes in the backyard of the President William Ruto, despite the investments of the state at that time. Dollar Line got around 18,000. So the difference between us and the president at that time was about 6K in his backyard. And that was a away match. UDA was playing home at that time. Then Olkalau by-election comes in. Now DCP is now playing home. This is now the return match. Now we are playing from home. William Ruto fields Mushina. The DCP party fields, for the second time, a parliamentary candidate. People are allowed to do their campaigns and all that. Fred, I was in Olkalau, and I can tell you, when we say the government invested close to 3 billion, it's not a story, it's not a farce, it's the truth. In Olkalau, it reached a point where you cannot get a change of 1,000 shillings. Everybody in Olkalau was having a brown paper. That's 1,000 shillings as the lowest denomination they could get. And meetings were happening every day. Young men and women stopped going to the farm. Nasema sisi tunaenda hii mkutano, tutoke hii tuende ile nyingine, because If you attend 3 meetings, you have 3,000. That is the government for you. Elderly women and women in Olkalau were given doll shoes every day whenever they showed up. Olkalau were given boats. Walipewa, and let me tell you, even on the election day, the road from Olkalau town to Huruma polling station was still under construction. Siku ya kura. Get. And all these were being done to lure and shift the thinking and lure the voters into the government side. But I want to say this. The people of Olkalau has set a pace in this country that we cannot look down at. Fred, that election was between Sammy Douglas Kamau and Mushina. But by extension, it was between the people of Kalau and William Ruto, the president. And whatever Mushina got, the 5,000 votes, cannot be replicated to William. Because Mushina is the son of that place, and Mushina was an employee of the former MP, the late. And by extension, he was able to interact with people during the tenure of his boss, the late. So he was able to gather some few intels and of course make some friends. And that's how he was able to, he managed 5,000 votes. Samuel Aweru garnered 35,000. 35,000. Fred, if that cannot be used to set pace for 2027, then what are we talking about? This is an election that the government invested almost close to everything. Close to everything. And William had even threatened to visit Olkalau. But after getting intelligence that it's going to get bad, he withdrew. Because anyway, his visit could have not changed anything. So what are we saying here? The Olkalau election was testing different institutions. Number one, IBC. And I can tell you for the first time, IBC gave the people an opportunity to exercise themselves.
All right. Hans,
I know why he's laughing, because the UDA government, and they tend to imagine that because they had the powers to nominate and appoint the chair, Kenyans are so stupid that the chair will just walk to Bomas and announce the president like Chebukati did. My friend, shock on you.
Hans,
two. Let me just learn before my brother.
Hold on, you'll come back. You'll come back.
I was just mentioning the institution. They're just very brief. The IBC. The next institution that was being tested in Olkalau was the state. In reference to 2027, what can the state do in an event that the people decide to make their own decisions? And we saw what happened. People in Olkalau, we advised them to vote by 11 done. By 11:30, everybody in Olkalau had almost voted. It was about 60% turnout. The state brought in violence from one to try to execute voter suppression, which was not successful because people had already voted. So the institution of state was tested in Olkalau, and we are very much aware that possibly in 2027, the only tool that William Ruto and his boys are having that can take them back to power is voter suppression through violence. Three, the third institution that was being tested was the voter. We were testing, the Olkalau people, the by-election was testing if voters have actually made up their mind that despite state interference through bribery, voter bribery, they will stand and make a decision. And it was confirmed that regardless of how much you spend, how many doll shoes you give women, how many boats, how many roads you construct towards elections, provided that the people have made their decision based on how you've been operating before, they are not going to change their minds.
Right.
So those institutions were tested, and I want to say that Kenyans are decided, and Olkalau was just but the litmus test.
Okay. Hans, it is said that Olkalau changed everything. Do you believe it changed anything?
Actually, Olkalau didn't change anything. It reflected what Kenya is. And I just want to give my facts. Number one, this is it. Kenyan politics are tribal. This is the truth that we must say. And more national politics. And by-elections never reflect the real polling of the village. It mostly reflects the national politics and who they want to support at the end. So how is it tribal? There is no presidential candidate today that we have in Kenya who will go all to run for presidency on an account that I want support from all Kenyans and I am a Kenyan tribe. you notice that Sifuna has been rallying on Gen Z to be where he is today. But he has changed tune to go to Western. You realize now in all his communication, he has referrals to Western Kenya. You heard what he said about housing, that mtu hawezi ishi 17 floor na bebe kuku. You understand? He had a meeting with Matiang'i, and Matiang'i told him, nimelock Kisii, mwende mulock Western. And that's what Sifuna is going to do as we go ahead. Sifuna has noticed that there's nothing called Gen Z block. There's nothing called Gen Z voting. A Gen Z from Mount Kenya will vote with DCP. A Gen Z from Rift Valley will vote UDA. A Gen Z from Kisii will go with Matiang'i. A Gen Z from Nyanza will go with ODM. And therefore, he's decided to go back to Western to build up his ability to be what he can be in the next government. And let me give you a small history as we go to discuss this. How is Wetangula today a speaker in the National Assembly? Because he controls 2 counties probably. That is Trans Nzoia and Bungoma politics. How is speaker for Senate Kingi a speaker today? Because he came with a party called PA with his following. How is CS for Maendeleo Chapchap Mutua a CS today in the government? Because he came with his team from Maendeleo Chapchap. You get it? And that is Kenyan politics, which we at times want to hide that is not the truth. Why is Rigiji going to sell DCP in Mount Kenya and doesn't want any other party? Mm-hmm. And he has actually nicknamed the other parties that is a wheelbarrow that has been painted different colors. Because he wants to play the politics of Raila, whereby you have a following that you control. You have a members of parliament that you control. You have a governors that you control for financial and gains and business gains in the government. Kashaga doesn't need to be president. To me, to my thinking, and we'll come to discuss this in 2028, he's not interested in being president in 2027. He's interested in controlling the Mount Kenya vote and having the DCP in them. And that's what he wants. And that's what makes Kenyan politics tribal. And just to give my few comments on whatever happened in Olkalau now.
You're saying it's purely Olkalau.
I just want to give...
Mbeere North was not in zone. Mbeere North is actually in Mount Kenya as well.
Let me now tell you what happened in Mbeere. What happened in Mbeere is the same with what happened in Emurua Dikir. You get it? In Emurua Dikir, it's a Kalenjin constituency in Narok, whereby all of them are not Kale, they're also Masais in Emurua Dikir. So it's kind of a cosmopolitan constituency in Narok County. Today, we have Nakuru County, and there are constituencies like Molo. There are Kikuyus and Kalenjins. If you go today to have a by-election in Molo, and you have a DCP candidate and a UDA candidate, a DCP candidate might win because there are more Kikuyus, and a Kale candidate will get over 10,000 votes because there are Kalenjins there. Today, if you go to Nyandarua, Nyandarua is a purely Kikuyu constituency, whereby you ask for votes in vernacular. It's like you go to my constituency today in Mosop. It's a purely Kales, whereby you even ask for votes in vernacular, Kalenjin. If today we have a by-election in my constituency, DCP might not even get 200 votes.
What are you talking
about? Let me tell you, hold on, and I want to explain to you. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. Let me explain what this means. Let me explain this to me. There is a difference in, let me tell you this. And then don't be excited. You know, it's good to be told the truth even if it's painful. There is a difference between a constituency in a urban. There's a difference between a constituency that is a semi-cosmopolitan place and a constituency that is purely a tribe. If you go today to Mbeere, you get it. Mbeere had bought wave from the side of Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West. And it will affect the votes to be 50-50. If you go today to Nyandarua, Nyandarua is a purely constituency like if you go today to Mogotio, if today you go to Baringo, if today you go to Marakwet. If today a by-election is held in, for example, in Marakwet West.
How Mbeere UDA was successful there from your...
do you know why? Let me tell you, do you know why Mbeere was successful? Let me tell you today. Facts, and we'll come to discuss here. Mountain is not one. Mount Kenya East is pro-government because of Kindiki. It is purely who you have at the table where the better cake is being cut. And this other end, I've said, because you got us from you got our Rigiji from government, They display some bitterness, and that's why definitely UDA was going to win. Today, if you have another by-election in Meru, UDA will win against the DCP. If you have another today by-election, probably here in Kiambu or Muranga, DCP will take it. It is purely politics that are being played of tribal. Let me just
Fred, this guy is very progressive. Getting this from a youth. Where we are, we have been trying to move away from what is taking us back to.
Yes.
This gentleman is from Kisumu. He's deep into DCP.
At the center, at the heart of the party.
I'm wondering, I'm from a party, ODM. That is not people in Luas as well.
That is your mind, but the truth is tribal. It is not my interest.
It is
Let me
Jared.
tell you.
No, it's Jared. We're listening to Jared now. We're listening to Jared.
We have ODM party that is all over the nation. We have been trying to build national outlook parties that have influence across the nation. It is very progressive to reduce his party UDA to be a Kalenjin party as he's trying to put it. To our generation, bro, as you are trying to quote and put everything forward today, to us, you are taking us back to days that we are not looking back to again. Okay, there's something I think you have talked about, that we are regional, yes, and tribal. But that's something I think for the longest time, in this generation of been trying to push that can we have a gender-based campaign, a gender-based political parties and principles, build on clear ideologies. But you're going to tell me that we're going to have political parties, voting system and patterns based on the tribe where I'm coming from. I'm pretty sure this gentleman Ken Babu, maybe today, if Nancy Nyandarua can win, yes, you have friends sitting there. What will buy him from running? That's the toughest question. Number 3, Fred, you have talked about Raila Amolo Odinga, maybe Gasha want to be like Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila never organized and mobilized within its community. I'm doubting, I think at some point is Senator Ken's Babu, a party leader, that I think it was him maybe trying to mobilize and organize within the community first before maybe spreading it across the nation. Dr. William Samoei Ruto have not been organizing within the Kalenjin community as my brother trying to put it in here. That's a national leader. We are not going to reduce our campaign, our political parties, our leadership to be regionally based and tribal organization. He talked about Sifuna now taking his campaign to Lawyer Land. I think this is a propaganda being put forward.
What did you heard him?
This is a propaganda being put forward. That was a statement. I think that was a statement that was trying to put that the lawyers are not having. They can't clear cuckoo in 12th floor. But we can't reduce national leaders to be tribal leaders. We are no longer into the days when we have the chiefs and the kings. We are leaders who are cutting across. I'm a Luo, but we were yesterday in Machakos. We were meeting the Kambas who are in ODM.
Why is Jubilee only popular in Kisii?
You are saying that Matiang'i is locking Kisii. Matiang'i is not locking Kisii.
Truth, be honest.
Kisii, as he put it, our DPL deputy party leader Simbarati comes from Kisii and is the governor of Kisii. So these are some of the propaganda being pushed and being peddled unnecessarily, that the leaders who are locking regions. These regions, we are trying to unlock them and let them be open to all political parties and everybody.
All right. Fred, let me say this. You know, if listening to Hansrop trying to deviate to tribal and regional politics, I will not blame him, because his party leader, the boss and the president of this country, has been on record trying to push a narrative of 41 versus 1. That is to isolate Mount Kenya against the entire country, which is something that he believes in, that Kenya should go that direction as a president. But so when you see his soldiers trying to propagate that, it's an instruction from
your party leader and secretary.
It's an instruction from Nene. Now let me say this. DCP party, after what we did in Olkalau, and that was a thorough beating. You see, listen to this guy, and he's saying that at a Kalenjin, a DCP cannot get something in Rift Valley. If you were to field a DCP candidate in Rift Valley, automatically he will be a Kalenjin. That person will not be a Kikuyu from somewhere. I mean, you get that? It just be a Kalenjin, but the difference with the party. So what I'm saying is this. The conversation we are having today is beyond locality. Get that? And that's why Rigiji has been on record that DCP is going to field across the country. It's not a joke. It's a decision that has been made. 47 governors, 47 women reps, and 47 senators, 1450 MCAs, get me, and 290 constituencies. We are going to field. And I can guarantee you that Tuta Okota hata kwao nyumbani tutaokota. Akijipanga na sisi hapo Mosop, unaweza mpea ticket na okote hiyo.
Because the candidates come from the locality.
The candidate by default,
even
just challenging.
Even Machina is not a Luya.
Let me just
Machina Luya.
Let me just finish.
Kikuyu from Nyanda.
You agree? I think you're in agreement. That's exactly his point.
Yeah. That's the point. So we are going kuokota kila mahali. And let me say this. You see, the conversation around 41 versus 1 is very dangerous. Because that is what took us to 207. And why am I saying we are not surprised? The engineers of 207 are today at the helm of the power. And this is a convention that favored them at that time.
What I tend to say.
Get that? So when you hear this guy is trying to deviate to that direction, he's trying to block the bigger conversation that Kenya is now moving into. Talk of Sifuna. Sifuna, they are doing, Linda Mwananchi is doing a rally in Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. Why didn't they say that Linda Mwananchi is localized when they were in Taveta?
How come this rally that you're talking about tomorrow in Trans Nzoia and then Bungoma, it's being dubbed, and I'm just going by what the headlines were saying, that it's a homecoming for Edwin Sifuna. Why homecoming? When did Linda Mwananchi become a Western Kenya?
Let me say this. It's a homecoming for Edwin Sifuna, not for Linda Mwananchi. We must get
you're calling it a Linda Mwananchi rally.
We must get the difference. Listen, Fred. We have to be factual.
It's good to be honest.
Today, if William was going to Sugoi, and the organizers are homecoming, but still UDA party wants to be part of it, is it a UDA function or a homecoming function for William? We must be honest with the conversation.
So which one will
Sifuna is going back.
You said William is tribal.
I'm asking the question. The difference between Edwin Sifuna homecoming and a Linda Mwananchi rally in Bungoma, which is which?
What is happening is Edwin Sifuna is having a homecoming in Bungoma, after which they will do a rally. Because majority of people attending are Linda Mwananchi affiliate members. That does not bar them from doing a rally under that banner, because not everybody who went there is doing the homecoming. Today, if I'm doing my homecoming as a DCP candidate in Kanyawegi village, that does not stop Rigathi Gachagua to come to Kanyawegi and do a rally after the function. You see, but still it does not convert the entire function into a DCP function. You see, that is the difference. So we must stop this conversation of this person is a leader of this tribe. We must stop it.
Okay.
And that's why we are advocating and pushing young people to join these parties from wherever they are. No, it is not a must that, my brother here...
It's just my opinion.
Should be in UDA. It's not a must. You can be in DCP.
Yeah.
And we give you the ticket.
No problem.
And you will utaokota pale Mosop.
Hiyo ni ndoto ya mchana. Sikia.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to divert from that direction you people.
No, let me just...
No. This question
as long as...
and you have to answer it. Do you believe that this saying that William Ruto has never lost an election, the belief that William Ruto as president and his UDA party will do something in a by-election or any other election and he'll definitely come out as a winner, do you believe that that has since been demystified because of what happened in Olkalau?
No. And my feedback is this. This was said by former governor for Meru, Kraitu Murungi. He said President Ruto has never lost election. He went with them to parliament in 1997. He never said his party has never lost election. I want you to get the difference. President Ruto as himself has never lost elections since 1997. We have lost elections for UDA before. That does not mean that it is Ruto's election. You get it? And that's why we are confident of Ruto's election as a president, not of UDA in every... We cannot say that all constituencies in Kenya will be UDA, and therefore if Ruto wins this one and fails that one, he has failed. Just to correct your statement on that. Okay. And as much as DCP party leader is still a Kikuyu, and Secretary General is a Kikuyu, Kenyan politics are tribal. That is the truth that we don't want to say. And that's why, unless you make Babu the Secretary General for DCP, it becomes a national party.
He's a youth leader.
Get from where he just branded himself. He's 2 weeks old in DCP. If you go today, let me tell you, he was in DAP the other day. You are in DAPK just a month ago.
2 weeks old.
Listen, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Let me tell you. Fred.
No.
Let's be honest.
We
shouldn't mislead Kenyans. We've been here, and they always see my brother here supporting his former party leader Eugene Wamalwa. He has just shifted And you know why he has shifted? It is because of tribal game of Nairobi politics. You know, we have to be honest. Who controls the politics of Nairobi? If you fight with DAPK in Nairobi, you become nobody. If you fight with DCP, the more national politics, national parties, you are likely to get to clinch the seat.
National party.
So let me tell you, that is the game you play. But if you go today to Fort Kenya, the party leader, secretary, wherever they come from Western, go to DCP, it's the same thing. How do you tell me today? You know, it is not my wish. It is not what I want. I don't have a party. I'm not a party leader, and someone from my region is a secretary general. I'm just saying the truth of what it is happening in Kenyan politics. It is not Hans' wish. We are discussing here what is happening in the politics that is happening in Kenya. And we have to tell ourselves the truth. Let me just give feedback to my brother as I hand over into Mike. You know, as much as we all admired who Raila was, the first thing is solidified his region with ODM. You could not fight with another party. It was one of the most difficult things. There are even times ODM nomination was shambolic, and he would choose who he wants, and that person will become an MP. Like, we are not new in Kenya. You get it? And he moved. He locked it Turkana to become ODM. He went to Mombasa. He met ODM. Look, every time ODM want to make declarations, they'll not go to Kapsabet. They'll not go to Nyeri. They'll either go to Nyanza or Mombasa. Why is Sifuna going to Western? It is in his backyard. If Ruto today want to make a declaration, he will go to Kericho, Bomet, because that's where his backyard is. If today Kindiki wants to make his declaration, he will not go to, for instance, Western. He will not go to Mombasa. He will go to his backyard. What am I saying, Kenyans? I'm saying this is wish we could get out of this. We've been used for political gamism in Kenya. We don't vote for development. We vote for our person. Okay. If we voted for development, Mushina would be MP4.
Jared, and I know you want to respond to him, but there's some truth to that, especially when it comes to Linda Mwananchi, and which had this national outlook. Gen Zs were part of this, young Kenyans were all for it. Then you see the name, the main man associated with the Linda Mwananchi movement, needing to go back for a homecoming in Western Kenya. And many people asking, okay, so where are you leaving us? Do we follow you to Western Kenya, yet probably we are from Ukambani or elsewhere?
Yes, thank you very much, Fred. Rob is here lecturing us a lot about so many things. Before I respond to the question that you have just put forward, Raila Amolo Odinga never, in his political history, never made declarations in Kisumu or Mombasa. In most cases, they were made in metropolitan Nairobi. Uhuru Park and popularly known, the popular space was always in Kamkunji ground, here in Nairobi, not Nyanza as you put it, my brother.
ODM at 20.
Correction to you. That was a celebration, that was not a declaration. Thank you for, so thank you to that. Number two, you have asked why Ruto. People, when they say Ruto never lost elections, I think for us this also gave us a breath that our institutions are very independent. IBC delivered election in Olkalau, and despite maybe the propaganda outside there that maybe they were not going to deliver it. So this also gives us more hope and trust with this institution that they will deliver credible election in 2027. We must trust our institutions. It's also very important, Fred, you asked a question on homecoming. Sifuna. Some of us view Sifuna differently today. Sifuna appeared to be an opportunistic leader. Sifuna is not real with Kenyans. Sifuna have run off the rail from an institution that made him and built him. Sifuna was SG of ODM, and he must appreciate, I think he was not the first SG that we have had. He was among the third best SG that the party has produced. We had the founding SG that was Profa Nyang'nyong, and then came Ababu Namamba, who was also a fine SG in the party, and then Sifuna. Sifuna have grown, I've felt that he had outgrown the institution. That was, to some of us, so unfortunate. Sifuna homecoming, as they are trying to put it, or going back to Bungoma. Sifuna ran in Kandui in 2017 and lost miserably before being picked to be brought back in Nairobi. Sifuna is saying that is back in Bungoma. And we must also remember that Bungoma is talking about is Ford Kenya, as I think Rob was trying to put it. It's a Ford Kenya zone. We from ODM party, that's, I think we have never been able to have a proper grip of the two western counties, that is Bungoma and Trans Nzoia. So the Bungoma county where Sifuna is coming from, even when he was an SG, he never had a proper grip of holding that county to be an orange zone. I don't know the magic is going to use today. That now is having homecoming, is a big man and can be able to have a grip of the western region. You must also remember in the same western region, that is an ODM zone where we have Wycliffe Oparanya, we have Wycliffe Mudavadi, we have Ford Kenya Wetangula, we have George Natembea, we have Eugene Wamalwa, we have all these leaders, we have Atuoli, those who have been making declarations in the western Kenya. So if Sifuna, if he can't be able to consolidate these leaders before going to the masses, this is a hot air chase.
What is the necessity of him consolidating leadership in Western Kenya?
And
Yet he came out as a national leader.
That's what I'm saying. In the opening statement, I said that Sifuna is off the grill, as you were singing before. Actually, when they met with George Natembea and said that he will be back home for declaration, going back home is not bad. Everybody, kila mtu akona kwao. Huyu anatoka Kanyawegi, mimi natoka Kanyamua. Yami natoka huku kwao. So, going back home is not bad. Mosop. Going back home is not bad. But what is going to do back home is what we are questioning. First, Sifuna, I think, came forward as an alternative, which of course is not. From what he has been, from his declarations and statements that he has been making of late, from the affordable housing that is opposing to now the payment that he had yesterday and so on and so forth, is a different person as we're expecting him to be. So he's coming and maybe consolidating the western region, as I think other leaders are trying to push him. They're pushing him off from the national conversation. At some point, I think Sifuna himself, appeared to be a threat to the united opposition, because him coming forth as maybe a third force or a second force was a threat to the united opposition, as it was before. So they're pulling him off the grill and they are trying to square him in a corner to box him.
Do you agree that that is what is happening with the Linda Mwananchi, that probably it's such a big threat that there's need among the political elite to reduce it to a tribal or an ethnic outfit, and that they've bought that idea?
You know, when you say that there's a need for the political elites to reduce it, it appears like it's maybe out of the advice of the political leaders.
A conspiracy of some sort.
That Sifuna is going back home. It is not anywhere. Nobody advised them to go and do that thing in Bungoma or Trans Nzoia. Let me tell you.
No, it is your party leader who keeps telling the other leaders that you need to go back home, consolidate your ground, then come to the table.
Yeah. Let me tell you. let me tell you this.
Don't run away.
I'm not running away because I'm a man who have been around and understand the political terrain of this country. At the end of the day, any leader must have a base. Any leader must have a base. Why is Oye confident about leading the youth league of ODM, and by extension maybe taking over the broad base? Because he has a base in ODM. You must have a base, and that base
political
can be locally. You have a local base where you come down on the table and negotiate. How do we go to elections? We do coalitions, and how do we do coalitions? Political parties, and parties are graded or ranked based on their strength. Where do you get the strength? You cannot say that your party's strength is Nairobi County. Nairobi is a mixture of everything. Everybody has their own strengths. Everybody has their own weaknesses. But at the end of the day, if you have a party, if you're running a party, you must have a base where you can go, you can retreat and consult. What Sifuna is doing is going to get the blessings of the old men and women who raised him. Which politically, I agree with it. Even today, if it were me, I would go back to Kanyawegi and convene wazee, tell them nimetoka, and I'm planning to do that. Naenda kupigana wazee kule Nairobi. Lakini nyinyi ambao mlinisomesha, mlinipea nafasi, mniwekelee mikono. It is normal. Politically, that is okay. Even William Ruto did the same in 2012 when he was gearing himself for presidency until he became the running mate.
Don't call him tribal going forward.
I've never called him tribal anyway.
You said his party.
You guys are the ones who have been calling my boss tribal.
The one putting that thing.
You are the one who has been calling my boss tribal.
Let's go back. Gentlemen, let's go back. Let's go back to the argument.
Now, now this is the catch. Sifuna is going back home to get the blessings of the old men and women from his village, which all of us here, geared to a serious competition, would still do it. So that is the homecoming. We cannot reduce that all that. Momentous occasion into a tribal conversation. We shouldn't do that.
All right.
Discipline leadership. My brother placed an allegation here. Each and every party has a way of reorganizing themselves. And I want to correct him. I am within the party. I'm at the center of the party. And I have my roles and responsibilities within the party. Times and seasons will come. And probably I'll be the position that he's proposing. Thank you, my brother. But until then, their party must be strengthened based on how it is, it is molded and what it is targeting to achieve at the end of the day.
Right.
We must have political power. And finally, there is a conversation around Gunism, which we also need to look at. Because
right, we'll do that in a very short time. But you realize that after the Ol Kalou by-elections, even the dailies turned their attention to the United Alternative Government. That prior to that, a lot of the headlines on the front pages were who's going to be William Ruto's running mate. Are they still discussing the issues around ODM and the broad-based probably coalition and stuff like that? Immediately after the Ol Kalou by-election, now the talk has moved to which candidate, which ticket will be, which ticket is the most ideal for the united opposition. Do you feel, however much we may talk about parties here, that by-election in itself changed the discussion to actually favor the United Alternative Government?
No, Fred. You know, what happens is this. When I've been in politics now for probably 15 years, following politics actively, and Kenyans were a bit emotive, and our emotions don't last. You remember when we loved Morara, all of a sudden Akina Kasmuel, now we have Sifuna, and his light will dim. I told you here when we were here before. So even this, now, do you know why we are discussing all this? Because we saw whatever happened in Ol Kalou. Another by-election will happen, another dynamic will come in, and it will change the narrative. We don't sustain love for politics in Kenya. Whoever does the best game towards the end of election wins election. You know, you even saw the letter that was released by Wiper to Linda Mwananchi. You also see whatever was released by DStv to Jubilee. So it doesn't survive. You realize next week we might have another different discussion of politics to discuss. The other week we'll have something else to discuss. So, but as for today, the discussion is, you've mentioned it, but it does not reflect whatever will happen in next year, August. Because the alignments will begin next year from May, because party primaries will end in March. So from April, May, that's when we'll now have a serious kind of shade of light that this is a likely direction we might take. But for now, if another by-election happens probably in Nyanza, and it gives a different kind of view, we'll have another discussion. If it happens in Kisii, we'll have another discussion. If we see our Sifuna homecoming is going to be in Western, it will give another discussion. If Ruto today plans for another homecoming in Kapkatet in Bomet, it will give another discussion. So we don't have sustainable love and consistent on whatever we want to believe as Kenyans. At times we act like people who didn't want to stand on a certain kind of principle. We get waved along the way. You remember when Matiang'i came from US, you remember when his caps and t-shirts were all over. We are declared that way. When Ricky G came, you know, there's always a wave that takes on time. Now Sifuna is famous. Maybe by December it will be another candidate. You get it? But whoever plays his games well will take over in the long run. But all this, you realize there's something that I just wanted to add. I wanted to tell my brother Babu, Sifuna fight in his home constituency and he failed. He came to Nairobi and ran for senator and he won. Where does he need to do an homecoming? Where does he have a following? You get it? It should be Nairobi. But when you go into national politics and you want to win, you have to do what is called home support, which is tribal. But we never want to discuss it. We never want to be honest about it. And lastly, is you've always had the Obado's party leader, Rigathi Gachagua. He says, has as Mount Kenya tuko na kura ngapi? Tunaweka kwa meza. Nyinyi mwende mshike yenye mulete kwa meza. So we shouldn't come to the national TV and today want to sweeten our talk here to please Kenyans, to please the youths. But you know whatever you're doing at the back. Once we leave this door, Babu knows we have to consolidate Mount Kenya for us to have power as DCP so that we can reclaim being a party leader for alternative government. The presidential candidate for alternative government because we have better force. And we've heard Rikiji saying, kama itategemea ile kura uko nayo sisi tukusupport. Kama sisi tuko na kura mingi, when you're supposed to support. And that is what it happens. It is purely tribal. Everyone has been saying, Rikiji is on record. We can even play. Akasema Matiang'i ameshika Kisii. Makuzo wetu ameshikana huko Wiper. Umeelewa? Nyinyi mwende mshike Western. Na tutamaliza ukasongo aende nyumbani. Tumeshika wapi? Tuko na, you know, it is kingpins of tribes that are coming to do collusion and win the government. That is the unfortunate of what we have in Kenya. I wish we could do differently.
Okay.
Thank you.
We, gentlemen, we have exactly 8 minutes. So I'll divide it equally. For your final comments, I know you may want to talk about the goons, and that's a big issue. You could also talk about the same, or you could also respond to Hans Rob, but you only have about 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Thank you very much, Fred. There's a question that I think Ken quoted on the political base. Political base lazima ikue kwenu penye umetoka. You can be politically based, but you are, a good example was Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga base was more in Langata, the larger Langata constituency then, than Bondo. Bondo was Uburu and this, that then. Sifuna, you have talked about Sifuna running in Kandui, losing, then running in Nairobi, and won the senator. I think him going back, as Ken was putting it, maybe just to seek blessings from his parents and maybe the people he's schooled with. Just have that blessings now to come into the national stage. Politics is a process. It's not an event, as you are trying to put it, that another event will happen and then will change things. I think it's a process that build up towards a thing. You are running for a position. I'm pretty sure that you are not waiting for that moment to happen. You have been rolling and having activities around your candidature. So it is a process. It's not an event, as trying to put my brother. I think it's also very important to look into this, as my brother Ken was putting it, on the goonship, and I think the Gen Z turnout in the Olkalau. Unfortunately, we didn't see a large number of young people in Olkalau turning out. If you kiangalia ile laini wenye walijitokeza kupiga kura, wengi walikuwa wazee na wamama. Vijana walikuwa wachache sana kama tulikuwa makini. So I think the Gen Z vote is still illusion that we need to get them more registered and tell them a reason that they need to turn up to vote in 2027. They need to take the ID and the voting card, not just as an item to maybe keep in their wallets and walk around with them, but know that that's where their political power is. It's also very important for us to note that the goonship that we have been having around, this goes squarely, not only maybe to the government or opposition, but to all our political class. They are the people who have been brooding goonship in our country. When you hire these young people to be your secretaries, they are trying to quote them. If you fail to pay in the next 2 or 3 days, what else are they going to do? They'll turn against you. So this goes for our political class to find ways of employing young men and women who are hovering around them every day. Instead of keeping them on peanut, them surviving, these young people need to live a life of dignity. La mwisho nikimalizia, mimi pia ni moja wa viongozi wa chama ODM vijana, na bado tunasukuma gurudumu kuchukua uongozi wa chama ya ODM hasa kitengo ya vijana. So hapo ndo tupo na tunasukuma, tunazidi kuimarisha chama na kuijenga, na tutaitetea, tutailinda, tutazidi kujenga in the spirit of Raila Amolo Odinga.
Thank you so much, Jared Oye. Next up, Ken Babu.
Thank you so much, Bwana Fred. I just want to say on the issue of goonism, it's a very bad culture that we are breeding as a country, that people can just be attacked left, right, and nothing happens. We've seen many different incidences where even leaders, people like Sotsi being attacked in a broad daylight, and nobody has actually been charged with that. And my major concern is on the recent issue, where my party leader Rigathi Gachagua actually said that tourists should be very careful with visiting our country. And I saw some politicians from the coastal region and of course UDA had came out fire blazing and condemning that statement. I want to say this. You know, patriotism does not just mean that when things are bad, you keep quiet and go coin your tail. What Rigathi Gachagua said was an advisory safety to the tourists and tourism sector. And he told them that with the kind of goonism we are experiencing and the government is not doing anything to bring it down, this country is not safe. If me, Ken Babu, I can be attacked and beaten brutally, and I'm a born Kenyan, what do you make of a tourist who cannot even defend themselves in Swahili? They'll be beaten like Burukenge, you see, and they will lose their properties. So what I want to say is this. Self-seeking politicians must draw the line between what the country needs vis-a-vis what they want for themselves. Because I've not seen up to now the investors and stakeholders in the tourism sectors coming out to condemn the statements that were made by Rigathi Gachagua as far as the safety in that sector is concerned. Then it means that they agree and they align with that statement. So then, the government, what needs to be done is to pick that advisory safety from Rigathi Gachagua and implement something about it. You cannot be in a position where anything that comes from the opposition is fought. Sometimes we give serious advisory checks that the government needs to implement. So that I wanted that to be on record and finish by telling our young people that this issue of goonism, because if you look at the goons, most of them, the oldest goon I've ever seen is 40 or 45. These are barely young people. But why are they there? Unemployment, depression, stress, and they're looking for something to get hold on. Finally, we recently lost one of our comrades, Comrade Elvis Otieno, alias Beast, who abruptly collapsed and passed on. And I just want to wish his families, to extend the condolences to his families and put them into prayers. And of course, call on different leaders with whom you operated with and served to step forward and extend an assisting hand to the family and ensure that we get befitting send-off. Okay. And just want to say that and say, TV47, thank you so much. We have to, it's our responsibility to keep this government on check. And as I become the center of Nairobi County, I want to promise you people that oversight will be my top-notch agenda, restoring the dignity.
Asante sana, Ken Babu. Finally, Hansrop.
Yeah. And on a personal level, I wish Ken Babu the best as he ran for senator for Nairobi.
Thank you.
He's sober than his party. But anyway, you know, if every Kenyan today knows that at times the party leader for DCP has a careless tongue. The words for tourism, he needs to apologize. It doesn't matter. You know, at times you become patriot first, then you sort out your political differences later. So his statement on tourists, we really need to withdraw it. It doesn't have another way. For goons, we really want to encourage the government. Kindly help us on matters goons, because we know these goons always decentralizes even to MCS. Every person will have his goon. Even for Mount Kenya, whereby DCP is popular, you know, in the near election, we'll have many candidates in party primaries for DCP. Those candidates can still have their goons and fight within themselves. So we want to encourage the government, because this goonism is a character within the politicians, that at least to do something, that at least we might have clean politics. I want to tell something to the youth, and I love being honest at times. In 2002, we had President Uhuru running against President Kibaki. And by then, Ruto was with President Uhuru and Mudavadi. On this other hand, we had Kibaki, we had Raila, we had Kalonzo, and the late Saitoti. When we came to 2007, they changed. Raila went to this other end with Ruto, Uhuru went to the other side with Kibaki. When we came in 2030, Uhuru and Ruto came together, Raila came together with Kalonzo. In 2017, they remained the same. In 2022, Uhuru and Raila went to one side. Mudavadi and Ruto came to this other end. What am I telling a youth? Where do we have a chance in this politics? We need to think for ourselves. This generation have led us enough. Now we need to think about ourselves. And I want to think about Sifuna. Sifuna is 44 years. Where is a youth? You know, when we discuss, if today we discuss who becomes announce the president, who will be our CSS, who will be our PSS, where are we as the youth? How will they think about our matters of unemployment?
Okay.
We really need to think big about it. And then lastly is UDA. That is the party that I am fine with. And our party leader and the party UDA just tried to kill the tribal card and tried to go to all over Kenya. Pulling strikes in Kalau is one of its way. Going to Mbere, going to Mombasa, going to Northeastern, it is one of the party that today I would admire. As much as we are not yet there, there's still some political alignments and tribal alignments. It is a party today that I see it has taken its foot to make sure it can become a real national party, and that's why we really want to go ahead. Despite my political perspective on Kenyan politics, as a person, I do not support tribalism. But unfortunately, that is the patterns of this country's politics.
Thank you so much for that. A quick look at some of your feedback here. All politics is local. This is no battle war. Look at every leader who has been successful in Kenya. They have had a political base. Sifuna's going home has upset some elders who feel shortchanged. Welcome to Bungoma. Caleb Oguye says the All Kalau election has given every coalition time to rethink because already, without doubt, the Mulima has gone. If the senior council, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Edwin Watenya Sifuna come together, then it disappears. He goes on to say, without Kalonzo president and Edwin Sifuna deputy president, Ruto is likely to go back, period. Patrick Kaluku says, All Kalau in the constituency, we have 346 within Kenya. No, there are 290. Presidential campaigns are different. And finally, Nobatu War continues to say, I'm surprised that someone going home to his kinsmen is now considered to be tribal. Well, politics in Kenya is tribal. ODM should concentrate in locking their counties. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Hans Ropp, MP aspirant to Mosop and also political analyst. Jared Oye, ODM Youth League, and Ken Babu, Youth Chair, United Alternative Government, and also an aspirant for the Nairobi Senate seat with the DCP. Asanteni sana for your time at TV47 this morning. It is a Feel Good Friday, so after the break, DJ Blue 254 will be here, and later on we'll be having guests in studio. Susumila, the artist, and Mzee wa Itikadi. So a lot more to look forward to. Ann Odida will be here, plus the latest superstar, Jita Kagiri Kolo, will be here as well. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Have a lovely weekend.